Welcome, weary travelers. Please make yourselves at home. I, Homer, shall tell you a tale as it rests their tired bones for a while. Long ago, in a land where rugged cliffs meet glassy seas, there lived a unique people. These ancient people called themselves the Hellenes, but you probably know them better by their Roman name, Greci, or in your tongue, the Greeks. The Greeks valued wisdom and beauty, and they excelled in art, literature, architecture, and athletics. They built their kingdoms to reflect these values. Now please allow my fellow poet, Kezia, to continue the tale.
The Greeks were surrounded by many neighbors who worshipped hideous gods of wood and stone, fearful gods who enjoyed human sacrifice. But the Greeks prided themselves in being unlike their foolish neighbors. Instead of roughly carved, cruel, and barbaric gods, the Greeks fashioned their gods in the image of man with his virtues and vices. The great playwright Sophocles will tell you more.
The gods resembled mankind well in both looks and manners, yet keeping in mind their love for beauty, the Greeks imagined beings who were mightier, more radiant, and wiser than mere mortals. The Greeks insisted that despite their vices, these gods were perfect and without fault, and they were perfect reflections of our own nature. The tales of these gods celebrated our strengths and revealed our weaknesses. Euripides, my fellow playwright, will carry on from here.
The Greek imagined a story kingdom full of gold, upon the tallest peak of the land. High atop Mount Olympus, the god lived in a golden temple built by an immortal uncle the sky sovereign. Within this splendid temple were 12 golden thrones, one for each of the most important gods. Unfortunately, mere mortals could never enjoy gaze upon the gods in all their radiance, and the grand phantom could never be seen by a mortal eye. Since the summit of Mount Olympus was always hidden and frosted like clouds, and so, really some greater than man to continue the story. I will call upon the music to help.
We have spoken to the gods and have good news to share. Dear mortals, just for today the gods have seen fit to tone down their radiance and roll back the clouds so that you may behold them in their Olympian banquet hall. They have allowed for my siblings and I to guide you back to the time of the ancient Greeks, back to their rugged cliffs and glassy seas, back to their tales of beauty and wisdom. Please indulge us in some brief introduction. Calliope, muse of epics, Fortes Fortuna Juvat. Since fortune aids the brave, I have moved writers to create exciting stories of heroism and bravery to inspire courage.
Cleo, muse of history, Tapus fugit, time flies. So I hope mankind keep a record of important events so that they will remember great accomplishments and learn from past mistakes.
Urania, muse of astronomy. Life in ancient Greece can be hard, but at Astra Prospera, to the stars through difficulty. I inspired people to look at the stars and be encouraged.
Euterpe, muse of music. Musical and typical court. Music gladdens the heart. Therefore, I inspired the Greeks to compose beautiful music.
Terpsichore, muse of dance. I brought joy to mankind through dance. Nunc pede libero posanda telus. Now is the time to dance. Erato, muse of lyrics. Omnia vincit amor. Love conquers all. Therefore, I inspired the Greeks to write love songs and poems. Roses are red, violets are blue. There's no hiding to see Izzy. Polyhymnia, Muse of the hymns. I enabled mankind to write songs of praise to the gods, for qui bene cantat bis orat, who sings well praises twice.
Melpomene, muse of tragedy. Sic lacrimae rerum, there are tears for things. I am the master of the tragic and the depressing. Some of the saddest stories ever told have been my creations. After all, who doesn't enjoy a good cry?
Visum teneatis amici. Can you help laughing, friends? Thalia, muse of comedy. Like many of you, I prefer stories with happy endings, so I liked my sister's drama by inspiring joyful tales.
Let us begin with a history lesson before we enter Mount Olympus. It all started with my grandmother, Gaia. You see, for a long time, she was all that existed, and since nothing and no one lived on her, she was lonely and downcast. But one day, she happened to lift up her eyes and see my grandfather, Uranus, the sky. He wore a crown which was speckled with bright shining stars and caught Gaia's eye quite easily. It was not long before Gaia and Uranus were married, both overjoyed to finally have some company.
Uranus quickly became known as the mighty lord of the universe. He was respected and feared by all. Soon after their marriage, Gaia became Mother Earth, bountiful and full of life. All living things arose from her. The couple's first set of children was a set of 12 glorious gods and goddesses, the Titans. My own mother, Menassene, goddess of memory, was one of them. These gods were strong and mighty like their father and beautiful like their mother. Uranus was very proud of them. Their second set of children was less beautiful to behold, but equally strong and talented. They were the 3 Cyclops, skilled metalsmiths with one shining eye in the center of each of their foreheads. Uranus found them rather disgusting and did not take as much pride in them.
How hideous these children are. They are nothing like the Titans. The third set of children was quite a sight. These 3 children each had 50 heads and 100 arms. Uranus was even more disgusted with them. Dear wife, these are the worst ones yet. Cruelly, Uranus seized the Cyclopses and the 50-headed children and threw them into Tartarus, the darkest of all pits.
Deep under the earth.
Poor Gaia was not pleased with this at all. She loved all her children and wished for them to be free. So after some thought, she fashioned a sickle and went to the Titans to ask for their help in defeating Uranus and rescuing her children. But only Cronus, the youngest Titan, was brave enough to volunteer.
Although I am young, I am strong. I will free my brothers using the sickle that my mother gave me.
Young Cronus is now the new lord of the universe. Perhaps he will learn from the mistakes of his father and show more kindness to his offspring. Let us continue on and see. Cronus did not free his siblings as he had promised his mother. As a result, Gaia was very angry with him. Instead, Cronus married the Titaness Rhea and took pride in his power over the world. During his reign, mankind enjoyed a peaceful golden age, living a prosperous life safe from the theft and violence. It was a glorious age on the earth. However, it soon became clear Cronus had learned nothing from his father's mistakes. Wanting to prevent his children from overthrowing him, Cronus swallowed each of them as soon as they were born.
I cannot tell you how much this grieves me. My sisters have their children close by, but my children are torn away from me. Is there no one who can help me?
This is just the opportunity I have been waiting for. Finally, a chance to see my grandchildren from their cruel father and have revenge on my son for leaving their brothers into Tars. Here, child, my love, come over and leave us with me.
What a wonderful plan. Instead of my newborn son Zeus, I will give Cronus a rock.
Rhea hid Zeus on the island of Crete, where he was able to grow up safely. Cronus never knew he was there. Like his father before him, Zeus, the youngest of his siblings, soon grew to be the mightiest of the gods.
Now that I'm grown, it is time for me to avenge my brothers and sisters. I will use the thunderbolts of the big Cronus to rescue my siblings so they can share my power.
Zeus won a great victory over Cronus and became the next lord of the universe. He set the Cyclops free and sent the Titus to Tartarus and a few other spots, and asked the 50-headed children to stand guard at the gates of Tartarus. Mother Earth was not pleased with this outcome. Once again, some of her children were trapped in Tartarus. She tried a few times to overthrow Zeus, but never quite succeeded. It seems the fates wanted him in charge. Zeus ruled very differently than his father and his grandfather. He was glad to share his power with his siblings and several of his children. He even requested a golden throne built for each of them. So now, please make yourselves at home as we enter the banquet hall of Mount Olympus. Here you will witness Hermes announcing the arrival of the gods, beginning with Zeus's siblings.
Her Majesty Hera, Queen of Olympus.
I am the beautiful Queen of Olympus, and I am very jealous. Zeus fears nothing except my fits of temper. I detest all of Zeus's other wives, especially the mortal ones. One of my favorite torments is to send a swarm of gadflies after my enemies.
Hestia, goddess of the hearth.
I tend the sacred fire here on Mount Olympus, and every hearth on the earth is an altar to me. Unlike my sister Hera, I prefer gentleness and kindness.
Demeter, goddess of the harvest, and her lovely daughter Persephone.
I cause all plants and crops to grow, providing beauty and food for the people of earth. My daughter Persephone is my constant companion, and I love her dearly. I cannot bear to have her out of my sight. But one day, when I was visiting Earth and she was playing in the meadow, she wandered away from me. I did not know when my daughter had gone. I searched far and wide but could not find my precious daughter. But with the help of a swineherd, I soon found out she had been stolen by Hades.
Hades, my gloomy uncle.
I am the Lord of the Dead, and my soul Persephone, I'm a god of a few words. Hades took me to the underworld. There I learned that mortals fear him so much, they won't even say his name, lest they catch his attention. Instead, they call him the
Zeus tried to persuade Hades to let Persephone return to her mother. However, because she had eaten some pomegranate seeds, she was required to spend 3 months of each year in the underworld. Each year, while Persephone was in the underworld, Demeter would grieve and nothing would grow on earth. Kind Demeter taught mankind to harvest crops and store food so that people would not go hungry in the winter. Then, when Persephone returned to her mother, Demeter's joy would cause the whole earth to bloom, and mankind would rejoice at the return of spring.
Whew! I'm glad that worked out. I get nervous about that every year. And now, here is Poseidon, Lord of the Sea.
Like the sea, I can be moody and unpredictable. People call me the earth shaker because when I hit the ground with my trident, shakes and cracks. And when I hit the sea with my trident, shakes and flies out, destroying everything in sight. And then I am on the seas. One often kind of being the creator force, I delight the waste the waves with my swift steeds.
Now that all my syllables are stated, I'd like you to meet my heaven grandchildren. I am Expedia first.
Hephaestus, the goddess smiths and fire.
Nice, peace and hard work, and a lover very much. I made him smile. And I hadn't always wanted to, but once in my parents were arguing, I was very sad. And this made me so angry that I grabbed him by the foot and told him to open it with all of the money. Stuck him in his leg and said there was
Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty.
I am not a child of Zeus. I have neither a mother nor a father. One day I mysteriously rose out of the sea on a cushion of foam. The west wind spied me and blew me to the island of Cythera. There the three graces greeted me and dressed me in fine garments. Then they sent me in a golden chariot up to Mount Olympus. Zeus's word that since I'm so beautiful, the gods would fight to marry me. So he chose my husband Hephaestus. To be honest, I'd rather be married to tall and handsome Ares.
Well, look who it is. Ares, my tall and handsome brother.
I am Ares, god of war, and I am great. Some people think I am cruel because I love fighting for fighting's sake. I don't care what side I'm on, as long as there's much bloodshed. I killed many with this sword.
Ouch, Mommy, I hurt my finger!
Stop it, well, you can see it.
Athena, the goddess of wisdom.
That is my brother, but none of us are very fond of him. He's so cruel and bloodthirsty, not to mention arrogant. I am the goddess of wisdom, and I'm my father's favorite child. Hi, Daddy! We have a very special bond. You see, I was born fully grown right out of my father's head. That's because he swallowed my mother so that he'd never be without her prudent counsel. This shield has helped me in many battles, but unlike my brother Ares, I only fight for just causes. Perhaps you have heard of the city of Athens. I won that city in a contest against my uncle Poseidon. He gave the city a useless, sulky spring. I gave them an olive tree with its many practical uses. Naturally, the people liked my do better. So now I watch over the city and shower them in skills and arts and crafts.
The two radiant twins, Apollo and Artemis.
I am Apollo, the god of music, light, and reason, and this is my twin sister Artemis.
I am the goddess of the hunt and all newborn creatures.
My father gave each of us these bows, and I was descended of arrows. My arrows are sharp and strong like the rays of the sun.
My arrows are as gentle as moonlight and give no pain to whomever they hit. I love the freedom of hunting in the woods so much that I sister named Orion. Since Orion and I shared the same hobby, we spent most of our time together, and Apollo was just plain jealous. Although Apollo set the scorpion that killed Orion, I soon forgave him. Together we fashioned Orion's image into the brightest constellation of the winter sky. That way my dear friend will never be forgotten.
Being the god of music, I trained the muses to sing beautiful melodies together. I used my lyre to help them tune their voices. I traded my entire herd of sacred white cows for this lyre, but I will let my brother Hermes tell you that story.
Ooh, my turn. Hermes, god of a lot of things, at your service. I remember that day well. It all started when I decided to be an Olympian god. I was born in a cave, but being Zeus' son, I felt that I deserved to live on Mount Olympus. So one day, just after I was born, I stole 50 of Apollo's sacred white cows in a very clever way. Then I hid them, sacrificed 2 of them to the Olympian gods, and used their entrails to make strings for the very first lyre. When Apollo came looking for me, I pretended to be innocent. Oddly, he didn't believe me, so he chased me up Mount Olympus, where Zeus encouraged me to make amends. I offered Apollo my lyre in exchange for all of his white cows and his magic wand. Pretty good bargain, wouldn't you agree? Zeus was so proud of my cleverness that he made me one of the Olympian gods. My plan had worked.
So you see, Hermes' ability to talk himself out of trouble and his quick thinking make him the perfect god of merchants, travelers, thieves, and all those who live by their wits. His cleverness made him well qualified for a few other jobs as well. For the gods, he acted as their herald, always knowing just the right words to say. For mankind, he graciously taught them to use words of persuasion to talk themselves out of trouble. He was great at helping merchants to close good deals and at teaching politicians to speak convincingly. A faithful guide, he kindly led the travelers to the best roads and led the dead to their final home in the underworld.
Now, all the thrones are full.
But wait, Dad has one more son, Dionysus, the jolly god of wine.
Are you kidding me? His mother was mortal. He can't join us. Besides, there are no more thrones. He may have my throne. I'd rather be closer to the heart. But
Enough here. Come join us, son. Thank you, Father and gracious Hestia. Here is right. My mother is mortal and died before I was born, but my quick-thinking father sewed me into the skin of his leg until it was time for my birth. I was raised by nymphs in the valley of Nysa, where I learned to make wine of the grapes that flourished there. I taught my skill to mankind and brought much joy. That is when my father decided it was time for me to come up to Mount Olympus. Now I'd love to share this bounty feast with you, Ganymede Eater, the nectar and ambrosia ready.
Yes, ready. Waiting for you all. Shall I begin with the nectar?
yes, please.
To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. The rule of the gods is not meant to last forever. As with all human endeavors, the time of the Greeks came to an end. Even the muses are not silent. Their stories continue to be told. And as we rejoice in the fact that the heavens declare the glory of God, we see the constellations in the sky designed by the ancient Greeks to remind us of their great tales. Tales that celebrate our strengths and reveal our weaknesses, and make plain for a God who is greater, make plain our needs for a God who is greater than any one these myths can offer.